Hey guys, what's up? Steven here, aka Closed on Sunday. Okay. I have three things I want to share with you today. The first is if you join the Discord and you sign up for the Powbuck ping roll, you will get pinged every time we do a spontaneous Powbuck drop at OG Island near the bank. And depending on how fast you are, you can get like thousands of Powbucks from this. So it can be a pretty cool opportunity for you guys. So make sure you join the Discord for that. Another thing I want you guys to watch out for is pals are coming very soon to Pow Vista, okay? The initial system is going to be you defeat an NPC and there's a 1 in 100 chance that it drops an egg. When you pick up the egg and you have it in your inventory and move around the game world with it, it will slowly move towards being more and more hatched. And then when it hatches, you have a baby POW. And the way this POW is going to work at the beginning is it's just going to follow you around, and you might be able to feed it food depending on how many features we can get done in time for release. But we're definitely not going to leave it right there. And we're going to keep releasing new features for it. But I think this is going to be a super fun element. I think we're going to have in the POW decks, we're going to have a little slot for if you've collected the POW for that mob. And then basically it's going to be like who's going to collect all the POWs first, who's going to be the first person to get a goblin POW, first person to get a skeleton POW. So this is going to be tons of fun. So that's kind of the second thing I have to announce here. And then the final thing I want to announce is that I'm going to be making some videos on the current game mechanics, just because I think some of them aren't explained well enough in game. And I think by making videos about them, I can understand how to communicate them better within the game. Because obviously the ideal situation is that you don't have to watch YouTube videos to learn how to play Pow Vista. Ideally, you can just open up the app and there's enough clarity within the game that you can learn how to do everything. But right now that's not the case. So we're going to make videos on two big elements. So one is the way that combat super effectiveness is calculated. So basically a fire attack on a water hoodie is not very effective, but a fire attack on a nature hoodie is very effective. And I hope I can clarify that in a coming video, so look out for that. And then the other video I really want to make is how the death skill works. So the death skill is a little convoluted because the way it works is basically there's this cursed fire skelly named Skelly Friend who hangs out outside the volcano, and he can detect the death carbon curse moving throughout Pow Vista. And when he detects a group of NPCs / mobs that have the death carbon curse, he sends you to go defeat them to collect their death carbon. And then you have to open up the skill guide to kind of figure out what do you do with the death carbon. Well, basically you use the death carbon along with a high level in the death skill to enchant your skateboards with more powerful moves. And you'll see if you show up to these drop parties where we drop off the POW bucks that having a board with an enchanted move is like overpowered. So you definitely want to do that. And that's about all it for the announcements today, guys. I do want to end the video with me reading a very interesting message I got with recommendations for Pow Vista and kind of reacting to it. Okay, so here's what he says. Here are my suggestions as promised. So number 1, combat versatility. You touched on the possibility of ranged magic, etc. previously, but how about a way to train existing combat skills independently? Right now, players gain a proportional amount of strength / HP for every successful attack. Why not let players select how this XP is allocated between strength and HP before entering combat? That's interesting. Like maybe certain moves, you could totally do that, especially if like certain moves are more spell heavy and less like physical nature heavy, and maybe that trains up less of your HP skill or less of your strength skill. That's interesting. So we could definitely have moves that by selecting these moves, you are de facto selecting what proportion of XP you're getting in strength and HP. That's interesting. Okay. Better yet, there could be different actions involved with each of these skills / styles, such as bumping your opponent sideways towards the closest ledge when training an attack skill. Additional knockback apply to the opponent when training strength. No self knockback when training HP. That's super cool. So this guy's recommending that we have basically different moves that you enchant to the skateboard that have different mechanics attached to them along with it. I think that's genius. Okay. Perhaps the board itself could determine the skill/style for simplicity. That's what I'm thinking too. This has the added benefit of differentiating various fire-type boards from each other. For example, since a Fire Skelly board could offer a different combat style than a Volgop board. I agree. I think the ideal situation starting out is that every board kind of has like a default attack. I mean, if we had a lot of time to really develop a lot of mechanics, we could have every single type of board have its own mechanic. But I think for now, it might be good to just maybe say like, okay, there's 3 different types of fire moves instead of just one. And those 3 are sprinkled across the different board types. I like that idea. Okay. Boards of the same element from different enemies would be more than simply reskins. I like that. You could take this idea to the next level by dropping the traditional attack/strength/HP RPG naming scheme and labeling based on their action and skateboarding terminology, such as Steez instead of attack, Shred instead of strength, Ripper instead of HP. This may be going too far down the rabbit hole, but the point stands that the traditional skill names can be replaced to increase immersion. I really like that. I think we have so much more opportunity to do these kind of like these unique names in the game versus just kind of going with what everyone uses. The only problem with that is that clarity gets lost when you start going too gung-ho with different names. Like I think maybe Ripper for HP. Like nobody is going to know that Ripper means HP, but maybe we can teach them. Up next, he has one more kind of group of ideas that I want to discuss here on this video. And this is, actually he has 2 more groups of ideas, so hang in there guys. Collaborative skilling or combat. I'm going to remain intentionally vague on this one, as I haven't seen it implemented successfully in any recent RS-inspired indie MMOs. So it might be incredibly difficult to design. The objective is to encourage cooperation among players and drive player engagement. It's important to consider that it must, number 1, be more rewarding than solo grinding. 2, require that each player actively participates, so players would have difficulty using multiple accounts to game the system. That's always a big challenge. And then 3, avoiding encouraging any min-maxing behaviors in order to prevent toxic behavior and further appeal to casual players. Chaos/randomness may help with this one. And then lastly, it has to be genuinely enjoyable so players want to participate instead of doing something else. Yeah, that is always just such an interesting conundrum, I guess. And you have to ask yourself sometimes, if no other game has solved this problem, then it must be a very hard problem to solve. And is it really the problem that you want to solve? Like what is the actual problem you want to solve? And I think he gets to it here with his next statement. As the game stands now, there's little reason to interact with others besides chatting for fun or competing on the leaderboards. Anything that positively nudges players to work together will breathe more life into the game since it is an MMO after all. That's absolutely true. So we're going to be thinking about ideas for that. In fact, if you have an idea that you think would work in Pow Vista to increase player engagement, I want you to comment that idea right now, because you never know, your idea might make it into a game that lasts for eons, even after you're dead. All right, the final suggestion from this player is really great. Exciting loot drops. So here's the idea. A small chance, perhaps 1 in 1,000, for a board dropped from an enemy to contain 1 to 3 stars. 1 star granting the weakest bonus, and 3 stars with the strongest bonus. If a board contains a star, it has a random bonus applied to the player when equipped, such as plus max HP, small chance to double hit an enemy when attacking, small chance to leech enemy HP when attacking, additional board accuracy, additional board strength, etc. Perhaps there could be more unique benefits to further differentiate from traditional RPGs. Here's an example of how a bonus on a board may look, depending on how many stars it received. Plus 10 max HP, 1 star. Plus 20 max HP, 2 stars. Plus 30 max HP, 3 stars. It's important to make sure players cannot accidentally disassemble boards with stars to avoid frustration. Agreed. I hope these ideas generate excitement towards the endless amount of possibilities for the game. I'm looking forward to seeing what direction you move in, as there is a huge amount of potential within Pow Vista. I love these ideas. By the way, big credit goes to Revivified. Thank you so much, Revivified, for your absolute treasure trove of ideas here. I think one thing's for sure, we don't have a lack of ideas for Pow Vista. We have so many great ideas. It's obvious. Like when you look around and you see other games, there's just a million things that they do that we can port into our game. There's a million things that have never been done before, like some of the things Revivified is bringing up that could work in the game. I just wish we could like go at light speed. And the way technology is moving, we're going to be able to go faster and faster and faster. Like imagine some AI tool comes out next week that just controls Unity, and you just say, add this to my game, and it just adds it in. So you never know. You never know how fast the technology is going to advance. But we're working with our lead dev and our team to put out as much content as possible. I've mentioned this in another video, but the number one feature that makes Pow Vista fun is more players. So that's why we take the time to make videos like this. You might wonder, like, why are you recording a video like this and not actively working on the game right now? Well, there's multiple reasons. I kind of mentioned earlier that when I'm able to communicate to you guys on the camera the idea, it gives me great ideas for how to communicate within the game, the idea, and I get to see what sticks and what doesn't stick. Another thing is the number one feature in Pow Vista is more players. So if you logged into Pow Vista right now and there were 10, 20 players running around you doing their stuff, that's just going to make the game a better game. So like having content on the internet for people who don't want to try out the game on the App Store before they've seen it, it's just extremely important, and that's why we do stuff like this. And finally, I mean, it's super good to have that back and forth communication here. Like, I don't think I would have taken the time to read and respond to this full message in the way that I did if I wasn't making content. So, Revivified, thank you for this giant message you sent me on Discord. I want you to know, if you're watching this, you can be the next person that gets featured in the next video. You can write out your amazing ideas for Pow Vista, and if they're amazing enough, I'll go through your message and I'll read it to everybody on a video. So make sure you guys leave those comments, okay? Don't underestimate the power of the comment. Guys, thanks so much for watching. I'm going to go work on Pow Vista. I'll see you later.